Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Live Season 3, Episode 48, Less Bacon, More Goo. One of the infamous titles I always tend to give these shows. But how are you all? Lovely to see you. Your eyes don't deceive you. I am alive. I know many of you may be wondering who this stranger is, but tonight we've not got tons to talk about, but we've got some fairly interesting topics. But let's first go through who's on the panel. We are joined by the wonderful Daniel.
Greetings. And the goo's looking good. It's not too overdone.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm trying to go for a little bit more of a natural look,
That's good. A little more moderate. Just the gray accents there, it works.
Yeah, I mean, if Clooney can do it, I can do it,
There you go.
And of course, the wonderful Andrew. How are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great. Looking forward to this.
Good stuff. And we are joined by a guest tonight. We have Agni. Agni did have a few microphone issues, but it may be aired out now. Agni, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Or good morning.
Good morning. We've managed to get Agni out of bed. It's, what, 4 o'clock in the morning for you, Agni?
Yeah, pretty much. They dragged me out of bed, so that's all right.
I like it.
It's totally worth it.
It's commitment, It's commitment.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got every introduction. So obviously we have the updates, which we'll run through first. I'm not going to be putting notes up on screen this week, which is partly to do with me not having the time to produce any, and also, when TFC first started, we didn't really put a lot of notes on the page. TFC was about personalities, players' personalities, and our perspectives, as opposed to walls of text. So I thought tonight maybe we could try a bit of old school TFC, if you don't mind. So unfortunately, you're going to see my face a lot more, but could be worse. So the patch notes. I'm just going to read some directly off of the Kicks forum. The Wingman co-op campaign, which started today. Prize pack 1 is a bat ray with 3 days bat ray build token, medium VXP, yada yada yada. Prize pack 2, the GSU 7 Ripsaw Gatling gun, more tokens. Prize pack 3, the hydro explosive casing. So I guess it's an opportunity for players that haven't caught the bat ray yet to go and grab that and maybe even get one bill, I guess.
And for lower level players who have who haven't quite finished their fleet, these tokens are quite welcome, especially considering it's a co-op campaign, and they can fill up both their Bat Rays and Razor Tails fleet, whichever ones they're working on.
Yeah, so I mean, if you've got a big friend, a big friend with some big fleets, then yeah, it's a good opportunity, I guess, for bigger players to help out smaller players too. So the Slice and Dice campaign is exactly what you said there, Andrew. It's just reciprocating it, but for the Razor Tail, correct? The base race campaign, is this a repeat? Have we seen this one before, guys?
Partial repeat. I don't think a full repeat. I've got to take a look myself on some of the pale stuff, but yeah, it's a quick way to catch yourself up. And as I recall, the Mastery run has the same payout as last time, so it might in fact be a full repeat.
Yeah, well, it's showing the Mastery run is ×3. You can do it. It's got a 1 day structure build token.
I'm still sitting on 10, I think, of those 3 data plants defense platform tokens from last time.
Which is the maximum, so don't do this campaign until you get rid of some of them. 10 is the maximum for the 3 day platforms. This is not the same as last time, because last time we were able to get 10 3 day tokens and 10 1 day structure tokens. So this is a partial version of it. I did this with icebreakers, which I haven't touched in 6 months. I easily flew through a mastery round. I drove the first couple of runs, but eventually I just started bulling a China shopping it. It looks pretty doable if you have icebreakers, but it is restricted to purely icebreakers or a monolith fleet with a gridiron monolith in front of it. Otherwise, you can't take dragons, you can't take zealouses, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I scrapped icebreakers because I just wasn't using them. But I'll be pretty honest, I'm pretty sure I'm sat on about 1 million tokens So, I'm pretty sure I could just build a fleet and have tokens to rank them. So maybe I'll do that. It's probably a waste of res, but... okay, move on to the next one, guys. Turn the Tides campaign. Is this a repeat, guys? We've seen this before?
Yes, we have seen that before. Once again, I'm not completely sure every piece of it is the same on the prizes, but it looks very familiar on all aspects.
I guess for anyone still looking to get their prototypes, up and together, it's a good opportunity just to bag some tokens. Maybe you're missing a bit of rank. Maybe you've not got that last ship fully built. So, good catch up.
Let me point out a couple other really good things in here. One, I did this with my Bat Rays. I went through all 4 prize packs all in a row and then just repaired overnight. So, and I had a friend who did that also with Razor Tails. But in here, there are some great limiteds. There's 5 hydraulic resistors. I know we get the Gale Defenses System 3 in the FM, but they're still good. And there are 5 Agility System 4s in there. Those are all excellent limited specials that if you try to buy them in the raid will cost you 3 to 5 million of your points per. So this is a good time-limited campaign to pick up these specials if you are missing or are light on some of them.
Well, I guess it's a good chance to bag and catch up. I mean, Agility System 4 is always on most ships. Well,
until something better does come out, it is still one of the best options out there for both the evade and the anti-stun. So.
Almost all of my defense halls and conquerors have them on them. Sorry about that, Agni.
No, it's all right. It's just to add on. It's what you pointed out. The prize list and the pricing in the raid, it's pretty high. And for people who are just about limited, to try and get a certain amount of points, maybe 50 mil, 40 mil, lower levels, and for catching up, this is, I think, the best time if you guys are looking to catch up on the agility, which definitely is a priceless thing that you just cannot miss out on. They definitely need to get these because it'll be way cheaper getting it here. But that depends on the difficulty levels and I guess partially on driving.
Okay, guys. Well, is there anything else that anyone wants to add in with regards to the TLCs? Okay. Sorry, go on.
No, the ones with the breakers, if we are using the icebreakers and monolith fleets, the damage levels in, I think, the price pack 3 and 4 is something that's really going to hurt.
Right. Okay.
I don't know where it's tuned, but a lot of people who've been doing it, or we've done it last time, it was pretty insane, the damage at certain points, given we cannot use dragons. Fair enough. Kickside, dragons would probably be overpowered for this, but for a lower tier hull, which is way outdated, when you tweak the damage up, it's pretty tough. And a lot of people who need the stuff actually have not been able to catch up at all. You definitely need retrofits on your icebreakers. Do not miss out on that. It's a small thing, but it takes a lot of time, and it makes a big difference in the overall output of the damage negation, because the turrets do have increased health, maybe around what? I would say even like 30 to 50% increase in health, because they do not just die in a couple of volleys from the rockets on the icebreakers.
Okay. Well, that's a good tip there from Magni. Yeah, definitely. Get them retrofitted. Okay, guys. Well, listen, I will jump into the bonus VXP weekend. They are rerunning this month's VXP weekend in order to help people rank their ships. Top level targets will spawn only from Friday 9 a.m. to Saturday 9 p.m. and drop a Defender VXP token upon destruction. So guys, thoughts on this?
This is fantastic.
Yep.
A lot of these hulls lately have been quite painful to rank with the massive repair time on these ships. So I have lots of players in my alliance who haven't quite sculled out their fleets due to gigantic repair times and unwillingness to dump huge amounts of coin on the VXP. So this is very welcome, especially before the final hull raid of this cycle, to max out their fleets. And we did just get a couple new breacher hulls. This is also very nice to find.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have any kind of VXP smack after an event. I mean, I guess the bacon thing, I don't know if we're calling it an official event, but there was a lot of holes on offer, and probably a lot of people with some new shiny ships fresh for ranking. So yeah, I mean, I'll certainly take advantage of it. Anything else, guys, on VXP? Would anyone like to chime in on anything there?
Obviously, don't forget you've got the option of using your generated ones from your gantry for your Conquerors if you don't want to do it the other way. But definitely take an opportunity. If you don't have your PV stuff done, try to get a little more rank on them. Get them done if you can, because I'm sure the targets once again are going to go up in difficulty damage, like they traditionally do.
Okay.
I would also not. We also have another VXP weekend coming up the weekend right after the raid. So in 2 weeks, we have another VXP weekend. So there is no need to break your back on this VXP weekend trying to get all of your ships ranked, except for the ones you're going to use in the raid. But your Conquerors, you can wait until then, because that VXP weekend will still be before the bounty.
True. Yeah, true. Good tip.
Assuming we get bounty in December. That's
Fair
not
enough.
necessarily for sure yet.
Mm-hmm. Have Kixeye gave us any indication that we will or won't? Or
The last semi-official, and I would even hesitate to call it that, was that they were going to postpone bounty, obviously, for this month, and next month they were going to look at it depending on how Refactor had gone and what they were seeing in their data.
That's wise. I think that's sensible. I would imagine that it would probably be best not to have a bounty in December and let everyone adjust to Refactor. But I guess we'll see.
Yep.
I think.
Sorry, go on.
A lot of. I think a lot of regarding this, just the time. Okay, they've done an event. One was Halloween. Then this one is bacon Thanksgiving. It's a good way to promote an event. Definitely helps the company. But one thing that's gone against is people taking the time off, family and stuff like that. For me, being in India, it doesn't make a difference. But as I see in general from players, it's had an adverse effect with a lot of people having to put in work time or holidays on. So yeah, this is something they should consider when they put in an event, especially where there are particular prizes which make or break, like the anti-torps before, and now, whatever we are getting from this event. So yeah, that should be, I think, taken into consideration, because it takes out a lot of the fun aspect from players who can coin but don't have the time. It's a balance.
True. Well, we're gonna take some time to discuss the bacon event next. I'll just look at these last couple of bits. There's a bug fixes there. It's only listing 3 things: objective, advancing our armaments, objective not completing. Did I say that completely wrong?
No, you did. You're fine.
I'm usually good at getting these words right. Refactor. Fleets on the world map did not have their health adjusted correctly, which resulted in fleets appearing damaged. Did anyone have that experience?
I sure didn't see it, but somebody must have.
And then it just says other general bug fixes and performance improvements. So
yeah, the catch-alls they don't want to admit to.
Yeah. The ones, the long list that we don't see, maybe. Okay, guys. Well, next, is there any, actually, before I jump on to the next subject, is there any bugs that should have been on the bug fixes and tune-in? Is there any bugs you guys are aware of that Kixeye maybe aren't?
Well, go ahead.
There is the 40 FM targets, which was removed for problems, and we still have lost one of our dailies. And the Mega Mayhem one, have they fixed the turret issue where you can't kill the turrets?
I know that they are aware of it, and it was ticketed. I have not heard if it's been fixed.
All right, so let's go with it's not fixed yet. So there's issues with the dailies at the moment.
And is that down to Refactor?
I wouldn't totally put it there.
Okay.
I am still perpetually plagued by the 502 SOS base crash that I have fought for what's it been now? 3-4 months worth of time at least.
Gateway error?
No, it's the base upload save error.
Oh, okay.
It crashes you out, and I can have that continuously. If I have any repairs to the base going on from being hit, it gets worse. I can play in the world map without a single problem. But boy, if I'm in my base, it's just crash left and right.
That's weird.
Okay. Okay, guys. Well, listen, this is a chance now. We're going to move on to the bacon event, which is which was, I don't know, it was a fair bit of fun. I quite enjoyed it. I think this is a good chance for you guys just to discuss the prizes and your thoughts on the event, and how it went. So maybe I'll ask each one of you one by one, and then we can discuss it as a group. So I'll start on my very furthest left. Agni, what was your thoughts on the event, or were you too busy to play it?
With a travel time out of my city, constant travel between 20th and the 27th.
Right.
Frankly, I just tried to get the bare minimum. But you needed the fleets. You needed a Manticore fleet, and you needed a battery or a razor, either or. Like I go with the bats, and I use a complete, full bats. I don't mix in razors. I like to stay at the max range and kite, and use the Brenner's bats. That ring. It does help against subs if you can get them in that ring for a couple of seconds. Now, keeping that in mind, every day, the first 3 days, I did just 3 targets. That was it. 3 targets, 3 targets, and 3 targets. Maybe would have hit on the second day a couple of the lower ones just to test it. And I got the bare minimum, like the dreads and the 2 weapons, the ARP-2 and the Scattergun 2. And on the last day, pushed it a bit and got the big turret. Now, I did not have much to catch up on in way of getting turrets. Hulls, I did not bother. I'm still missing some hulls, as in to complete a set or a fleet, but it did not bother me or does not bother my gameplay. Now, given that in mind, if people are trying a whole set of stuff to get in way of turrets, it would have been very tedious, and they could have reduced the pricing on the turrets. But the overall structure, I don't think if someone played smart and had the fleets, which at a certain level you are expected to have, you cannot say now I do not have a Manticore fleet. You should, either missiles or scatters. I think given that, by a little bit of smart play, I think I had no problems. And anyone who had 1 fleet of Manticores and 1 fleet of either bats or razors should not have a complaint with this event. Difficulty level or damage was high, but that shouldn't be a worry, because you have the whole day to repair after hitting 3 targets as I did, because I just didn't have the time to play.
So, guys, as a whole, I mean, let me ask you as a whole, do you think the community in general were kind of upset with the event? Was there a lot of complaints about the difficulty level?
I certainly heard a lot of people complain about it on the page and in the forums. Some of it justified, some of it maybe reaching a bit. I mean, like Aggie was saying, if you applied a little strategy to it and said, okay, I'm going to use my fleet, I'm going to do X amount of stuff, let it die, and you know what? I'm going to let it repair, and you're either going to coin it or not, and go do something with the family or go do something else. Frankly, that's the way I played it myself, was to say, look, I've got X amount of time, and I was traveling. I was on the road for much of the holiday. So when I had time, I did as much damage up to the fleet as I could and scored my points, and then docked everything and started repairs. And the app is wonderful for letting you know, hey, this fleet's done, start repairing another one, and then you get back to it when you can. I guess I've always also been a person that said, look, I don't have to, I'm not in an alliance, so I wasn't concerned about the ally ranking, but I've always felt like I'll get what I'll get. It's only a game, and I don't have to compete with the top guys with the deep wallets that can just blitz over and over and over again and rack up points. It's not going to be the end of the world if I don't have 1 billion points or 500 million or whatever it might be. I think I ended up with about 350K, and I didn't spend any coins on it.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, it's keyword. It's the app. Do not neglect the app. That's a brilliant thing for us traveling. We've used the app, especially for repairing. And the second thing was, it's not a rat race. Just get what you need to get. Yes, some people feel the need to be right on top. It's a competitive game, battle game, and you're competing hard. But you can use the app for repairs, and you can just, get the bare minimum needed. That works.
I found these targets to be very intensive and dependent upon how you drive in them and what limited specials you have on there, specifically the anti-torpedoes or the Hyper 30. Without those, people, and with bad driving, people were taking astronomical damage. But once people learned their driving patterns, even the people without Hyper 30s or the anti-torpedoes were able to bring their damage down into a reasonable range where the strategy that Agni has pointed out of just doing 3 targets and then hard repairing actually works. But I had a bunch of people in my alliance that went in with razor tails into some of these targets and walked out with 12 hours, threw up their hands, and began rant posting. Once I was able to teach them how to drive the targets, they brought that down into a reasonable range and all became quiet. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I for me, it was a good opportunity to catch up. I mean, there was some stuff in there that I'd missed. Although I kept up to date with raids, I'd missed a couple of bounties previous to it. So for me it was great to go in and grab some sirens. There was a few weapons I missed. There was a few specials. So it was kind of like I personally thought it was almost like a giveaway raid. It was like, look, here's loads of stuff that come out in the last 4 months. We're moving into tier 8 now, so go and get your fill. But of course, there was some damage involved in that. I was one of those lazy pirates that blitzed, which I don't feel too guilty about saying because I work 7 days a week, so free time was lacking. But yeah, I mean, I blitzed. I think I took about 500K and just took everything on offer that I didn't have. I took. That was about it. So,
and hey, there's nothing wrong with that. If you got limited time and you're not going to spend more than you can actually afford to spend, to blow on a game fun money, and it gets your stuff done and gives you your time for your family or work or whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with spending the money to get you there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, one thing I did notice though, I went into the app Monday morning. I was at work, and I couldn't click an event target for this event. Was that intentional? Was that for everyone? Could you?
No, I didn't hit any targets using the app.
Yeah, I tried to hit one using the app, and well, I just hit the one that said, the bar that says event in the app, and there was nothing to come up for it. So, but I did manage to finish it. So yeah, it was okay. It was interesting. I've already seen some of the ships in action, which kind of brings us on to. Does anyone else have any more discussion they'd like to throw in regarding the event and the prizes?
No, it's this was more like a replacement for the bounty, and as Liam said, more a giveaway, which is fine. And I think look at it this way: when you had bounty, the biggest concern was I earned my bounty, it was stolen. That was a big complaint because people forgot that it's a battle game. So in a battle game, you're bound to get stuff stolen because you're battling pirates, so to speak. But then if you look at it this way, here you could play at your own pace. And I keep harping on this point again and again, is play at your own pace so you don't get a meltdown or a burnout. So given that as a replacement for the bounty, temporarily right now, given the changes we are going through, I think this was pretty all right event.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to bring up something, which is the I dislike the fact that Kixeye keeps adding prizes to these events. They did that twice during this event. The first time they added the regular res for 500 points, and the second time they added 3 one-day tokens for all the various different Conqueror hulls. This makes it hard to plan as they keep adding stuff. I personally wasn't excited about the 3 one-day things, but this addition of res to this event was fantastic and greatly, I found it to be exceptionally worthwhile, especially the Zintium. 80 million Zintium for 500 points. I ended up with near 350,000 points. I had some extra. This allowed me to create a bunch of walls really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, I mean, I guess res is going to be the biggest shortage at the moment, especially with everyone exploiting those build tokens, getting all their conquerors refitted.
And walls, 25 million Zintium per wall. You have 6 million. You have 600 walls.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going forward with so many aspects of the game, one neglected area, so to speak, is the res that we are getting from salvages that has been kept at the base level for years now. It would not be a bad idea to bump that up. Bump that up to levels, probably double, triple it, that you get out of a 71 or a 75. And I do believe, as I've gone through forums, there was a lot of these additions, even in raid or raid time, a lot of things people have not liked, but there was a lot of feedback given where players were asking for stuff. Now that kind of puts some of us are put on the wall because we don't like stuff added, but there are people who are asking for it after the event has started. If you go through forums, I'll find it. And I guess that could have been one of the things that caused this addition, though we've seen it before. And it's extremely annoying. Like this res thing that we were getting the extra Zinth. I wasn't even aware of it till the event ended because I didn't have the time and I didn't even look at it, though it would have helped me with my walls.
Well, I think that's an interesting subject. I think salvages in general are kind of a very underused and undervalued resource. I mean, they're just on the map. Unless you're a low-level player, you don't touch them. And I'm sure that clogs up stuff at Kixeye's end. Maybe they could start using them again, bring them back, maybe readjust them, improve them, put different chips in there, increase their res value, maybe drop out some old blueprints, give new players a chance to catch up. I mean, salvages, they definitely could do a lot more with salvages. Anyway, just a thought, I guess. I did want to, a couple of people were mentioned in chat, and I think it's only fair to bring the point up. A couple of people are discussing, they kind of feel that the damage was upped because there wasn't half repair time like there is in the raid, and they were similar raid targets. They kind of felt that the damage was increased unjustifiably. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
The event was 6 days or 5 days long. That is quite a long time to get the points necessary. And honestly, if you just want a breacher and the weapon, that's 30,000 points. That could be easily done over the 6 days through hard repair. If you wanted even to get the damage it wasn't instant repair, so people are going to unfortunately complain about that regardless of what we give them.
I think the biggest thing is because there were raid targets and you were using like raid fleets, it felt like a raid, and because that half repair wasn't involved, I kind of feel that regardless, players would always feel that it's unjustified extra damage.
And these raid fleets are really nasty to repair at the moment, which aggravates the problem.
Oh, definitely. I agree. Okay. Well, okay, guys. Well, the next subject that I was going to move on to was the tier 7 to tier 8 leap. You know, I kind of feel like from looking at the game and looking at the tech and stuff and the way they're dropping out, they're kind of giving us all the tech at the moment. I kind of feel like we're on the verge of moving. We're moving into tier 8 now. We're moving into tier 8 hull. We've seen the first hull. We've seen the first weapon. I mean, what are your views on that? How do you feel about the transition and what's your thoughts on maybe what's coming? I'll let you guys sort of walk away with this and have a chat about it.
Man, that was a lot of tokens they gave me for the Refactor. Just so many. I mean, I have turned all of my tier 7 ships, my Defenders, my Conquerors, are now all as polished as they've ever been. I spent a good 30 weeks polishing these ships. And on December 3rd, when these tokens disappear, I will never touch these tier 7 ships again, and I will be purely on to tier 8. So,
but
that's
then, is the game at a point where those T7s are, are they even useful? Or will they? Well, I guess in top end, it's a different story, but
the adjustment for lower level players to be able to bring their base and base guard up to the ability to bounce top end tier 7 ships, highly polished tier 7 ships, isn't gone yet. We have 3 to 6 more months of that. The moment we start getting more and more tier 8 ships, all of these will disappear. And the moment we get a good new tier 8 turret, that's got to be coming soon, right?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, the bell has sounded on the tier 7 ships. Get what you can out of them now, but they do have an expiration date coming up very quickly.
And if you're still keeping any of the old ones, there's a source of resources if you run low.
Yeah. I know it always gives me great pain, scrapping anything, but there comes a time, I remember scrapping prides and rages were painful. Anyone else regarding this T8 stuff? I mean, looking at that new hull, the new sort of dread style hull. I mean, it's an absolute beast of a hull.
It's a beast of a hull. They are killable. They are beatable, not easily, but it can be done. There's no question that when they talked about it being, well, tier 8 won't be just a pure power jump. It's not a pure power jump, but there's enough of a gap there that tier 7 weaponry, unless you build it very smartly, a lot of times doesn't do a whole lot to these. Having a little of the tier 8 weaponry in your defense fleet, for example, does tend to help. So there's enough of a gap there with the damage, the deflection numbers, that it's still enough of a step to be a problem for a lot of players. And like Andrew was saying there, the clock is ticking on tier 7 to a degree, yes. And you've got to look at it and say, okay, what can still be useful out of this, and what really isn't? What not to waste my time on?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure sloths will still be useful.
Oh, can I speak about sloths?
yeah, definitely.
I think
with the base upgrade on the base upgrade that happens, I am loving what my base does to sloths at the moment, because none of my base can no longer be splashed out. No damage from if the mortar lands, and I get no more is my center island slowly melting away from mortar fire. I took mortar fire for 2 straight minutes onto my bunker. Nothing died. No walls died. No nothing. Walls have 40,000 deflection now. That turns off every single mortar out there. So please, yeah, sloths are dead
until the T8 mortar comes out, which we can put on sloths. In which case,
fair enough.
See, the problem will be, to an extent, will be the new OP gun, which fires out to the furthest ship. Now, yes, you could try and tank with a ship placed at a certain point, but that's like way too much work. And yeah, that's one thing that'll just put slots off, is the new OP gun.
It's been such a huge dynamic, sloths, hasn't it, to the game? I mean, even through tier 7. I wonder if I would expect to see another kind of sloth style hull maybe introduced. Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh yeah,
I think it's been one of
absolutely.
Yeah, slots, I think, to an extent, have been one of the hulls that's helped keep PvP alive.
Yeah.
Because blitzers have gone down the drain at times when a new, say like the Airfit was released. That didn't work too well at the time, but people were modifying other ships to use with slots. And yes, Splash was king. You could run in one storm cruiser and splash bases out without using or touching a newer hull. So yeah, it kept PvP alive for a very, very long time, not just from the player's perspective, but even from the company's perspective in way of making money. So slots did it really overworked its shelf life. It had to go at a point, but yeah, for people who hit bases or prep bases, I think they would have really enjoyed it and worked both ways for players and company. But yeah, as you guys said, now we wait for a T8 remote targeting baser. I just can't even think how bad that'll be.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I don't want to see soon. That's the one that should be, mid-year next year. At least give us a couple of T8 defenders or something, first before you hit us with the T8 sloth.
Just one note regarding we've been set a deadline for the 3rd of December for the tokens to use them up. Now, top level gaming, as said, is not going to be affected. Mid-level players, irrespective of their levels, I'm saying mid-level ones in way of skill or coin or understanding, people are still lost. There are still people who are lost with what to do with tokens. Secondly, people are struggling with resources. This is a very, very big point right now, because a lot of us who are putting in a lot of attention into the game, we know the mechanics. We are building smart or trying to find a way around it in getting resources. Many people are not. They want to play every day. They play every day, but they're lost with how the mechanics are working. So if the token deadline was increased, I don't think it's going to affect the game. But if they increase the deadline, what it'll do is the mid-level battles, the players in that mid-level battle segment, it's going to give them a chance to prolong the use of tokens and be more competitive and have fun in the game. So yeah, this is something maybe they should look at as maybe they have something coming up, but these are tier 7 tokens specific to tier 7 hulls. We have how many? 6 of them. Probably, yeah, 6 of them. So I don't see why this deadline should end on the 3rd. They should extend this deadline, and it is going to help the game in general in the huge mid-level segment.
I agree with you. I don't see why there is a deadline. I mean, okay, there's a lot of tokens being given, but why not give people less tokens and not deadline it at all? Yeah, I don't get the deadline. I would definitely agree. I would love to see them maybe extend it a week to the 10th. But for anyone listening that isn't aware, there is a deadline on using the tokens. It's the 3rd of December, guys, correct? Yes. They have to be used by then or they will go. Someone just pointed out in the chat there, Damnation and Hellfire. He said that, have we covered the fact that the last T7 armor won't be out until after the tokens expire? So, I guess it's a pain in that there's going to be a T7 armor released, after the tokens are gone. But I guess we just got to work with the tools we got.
Yeah, the CTCO3, that's the armor they're basing it on. Now, yeah, it probably won't be a game changer for all the hulls. Some hulls will gain from it. Maybe the MSC gets stronger or Impact Cruiser lives longer because of that. But just for one armor, if they're going to, it's a balance they need to look at. They're the money people and the devs. I'm definitely sure they're looking at it. They should extend it, but if it gets in the way of the CTCO3, that's what we are expecting. That's the last of the armors to come out. We have got the MC3. We do have the ER3, if I'm not wrong. ER3.
XR3.
What we're lacking is XR3. Sorry. CTCO3. So that's a question mark, waiting if or if not. If at all it's to be released and in some way it does clash, whereby it will make a tier 7 hull stronger, which I doubt, because if you look at the baseline deflections on the Dread, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, Kickstarter could have maybe chucked it into the Forsaken mission this week if they wanted to, I guess. But I mean, are we talking about refitting one armor slot? Is that all we're talking? Because I guess it's not massive.
Well, no, we're not just talking about that, because on December 4th will be the raid. And in the raid, there will probably be a new tier 8 ship, at least if we've been going by the release schedule of tier 7s, where we get, pretty much a tier Conqueror hull or a Defender hull every single event. In addition to the hull, there will also be a weapon and a special. The weapons for these new, for the Breacher, are all tier 7 weapons. If we kept the tokens, we could immediately turn to our tier 7 Conqueror hulls and refit them with the new guns. My Impact Cruisers already have Arbalists on them, and my Witch Doctors already have the new Scattergun on them as well. Those are all tier 7. I can do that with tier 7 tokens. So if they let the raid go by, we get those new weapons, we could outfit them. It may upset the balance of the new tier 8 ships. I don't know. That's the only thing I could possibly think of as to why the deadline is there.
So there's something coming. Yeah, I see what you said. I mean, Laredo the mod has just put in the chat there that he has put it as the deadline is in place due to token value. Leaving them in the game will wreck the value, and I think those tokens can be used for would have a huge build time increase to compensate for the tokens. Is the official word from Laredo there?
Like the 21-hour guns for the Breachers. You already have that build time increase.
If you go by numbers, if I've got Impact as well. Now, I've been able to fit in 4 of these ARP2s on the Impact. If you take these off and go with the Siege Cannon, with the modified or the new stats on it, and put in maybe 1 ARB, your output damage numbers would be roughly the same. The same would be with the scatters. Now, if they're releasing a newer weapon in the raid, the weight of the weapon, that's 1850, boosted by specials, your output damage on tier 7 hull because of the limited capacity is not going to be much of a difference. I'm just arguing this for the simple fact that I want these tokens to be kept to help low-level players or mid-level players, because people are still grasping for understanding, because the time given was too short and most people cannot, even now, don't know what to do with them. You just gave them and it's going to go away. And this is coming as feedback from first-hand information that I've gathered or I've seen with what is happening with players.
Okay.
No, I see your point, and I would really like them to see them extend as well.
Well, what's the target date for the raid start?
It's the 4th.
4th. So they're giving us to the 3rd. Yeah, it's obviously something in the raid and that. But even if no, there's no way around it.
It could be like a weight reduction, new special that has weight reduction on it, or something on those lines. It could be anything. Well, we're just groping in the dark here.
Well, they could have been smart and savvy and coded that you couldn't apply the T8 tech with the T7 tokens, But I guess that maybe would be too much. But okay, so I don't know. It doesn't really sound like Kickstarter are going to budge on it. Probably for the points you've mentioned, Andrew, and thingy. I mean, I wish they would. I agree with you, Agni. I wish they would. I think they should at least give us a bit longer with them. But I guess, guys, that the message from that is to get out there and get building as much as you can, as fast as you can. Given we don't all have time, I certainly don't have time. But I guess we've got 5 days now to just get in there and just get as much done as we can. What have we got? Have we got 5 days now? Yes, the 28th today.
Yeah, build them sloppy.
Yeah, build them sloppy. Sometimes that's better. Right. Move on before I completely degrade the chat. Right. Okay, guys. So is there anything more on the T7, T8 leak? No? Okay. Well, let's move on to views and opinions on the refactor, and how do you think it's going? Now, by that, I mean, we've had it, for a week and a couple of days now. We've had a chance to experience it, play and adjust and stuff. I'm sure many of you have redesigned your layouts, adjusted your turrets, and from the previous chat, we've been working on our fleet. So where are your thoughts on it? I'll just leave it with you. I'll let you guys expand as much or as little as you want.
Well, like Agni was saying, there's a percentage of the game population that is definitely struggling with adjusting to the new battle math, shall we call it, and the new concept of looking at how you build your fleet and how you build your base and so forth. In many ways, it's simpler, but it is like you have to forget everything you did know and relearn the new approach to it. And for some players, and we do have a lot of older players in the game, the old dog, new tricks thing comes to mind sometimes. I suppose I'm a little bit of an older dog. I'll be 50 next year. But I revel in this kind of stuff. I like the puzzles, and I like doing the math, and I like all that kind of, that's a big part of the attraction of the game for me. And I've tried to explain to a number of players around me that I've helped out and stuff how this works and so forth. And some get it, and boy, some really don't. So, I think the refactor was needed. It would have been great if there was some easier way to do a refactor guide for dummies, let's call it, maybe, I don't know, that would have helped, in very base, done some graphics and stuff that explained how to look at things now versus in the past. If we had time, maybe, that's something we could have planned for and done on TFC, but we didn't have the people with the time to do it, sadly. And of course, it isn't our responsibility to, but it would have been a neat thing. But in a general sense, I think for a good chunk of the population, they're kind of adapting to it, and it's starting to sink in. Unfortunately, I still think there's going to be some percentage that really are not going to get it and struggle and maybe quit.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I never was involved in much of the discussion prior to it, so I kind of seen it when it happened. But I was in a conversation with Mark TSM, and we were discussing it, and I do feel like the game was massively, massively simplified. There was a lot of strategies and tactics that maybe had spent 2 years like learning and figuring out. And I mean, the maths that me and TSM put into working out deflection in the early days when over damage was first introduced, and I was working out how to make a chaos more, have 4 damage types that would get past. I mean, the amount of maths that went into. I had 84 pages next to my PC, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed learning all that. It was extremely complicated, more overcomplicated than the game should have been, but for me, enjoyable. And I'm finding it difficult. I mean, I don't know if I'm finding it difficult or if there's something in me that is resenting the change. I'm like, no, I don't want that change because I spent so long learning that, and now you're asking me to forget 2-3 years of gameplay and learn it all again, which is easy enough to do, but I've already invested time and money in doing that a year ago, and it's a difficult transition. I would say that's probably the best way to put it. It's a difficult transition for the older players and then maybe some of the newer players. But then again, I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak from my own view. But then another part of me, on the same flip of that coin, another part of me says to myself, like, do I want to learn it all again? Like, I had to do this when there was the PvP, PvE divide, and then I had to do it when deflection came, and then I had to do it when overdamage came. And every time it kind of felt like a reset point in PvP. Like, let's take it back to nil. Let's start again. Let's rebirth it, And this is exactly what it is. And what's it going to be next year? How are they going to reset it all again next year and make me learn it all again next year? And in some senses, that learning aspect is fun. But in some senses, it's also very frustrating. If any of that makes any sense, But,
no, it does. It makes perfect sense. And I do think a lot of players, especially the more casual players in this game, they probably resent it more than the others because they just want to hop on, throw together a ship. Or like we have I really hate to use this term, but we have the spoon-fed player segment who never figures anything out for themselves and begs for the answers. Okay, well, you're going to have those players that are looking, they don't understand how to do or how to build or any of it because they never understood it to start with. And this is not a game for somebody that doesn't want to put in some time in thinking and analyzing. Not if you're looking for success on the PvP side. PvE also has that to a degree. There's a lot of players in this game that are pretty much basically a PvE only type player. So the Refactor to them is like ducks flying overhead in formations. They're going, what's going on? Are the season changing? I have no idea. It doesn't impact me. So yeah, there's quite a dynamic range of how involved players are, and there are a number of players that aren't involved enough to get it. Sorry to say, but it's true.
And one of my issues is I don't feel like I understand the full changes, the minutia of this refractor enough that I can give people good builds for anything. I just have to make a lot of sort of guesswork on it, because before the refractor, I could tell you exactly what levels of deflections you need on your ship to survive. Now, I'm not sure. And and there's a lot of people that we can see it on the TFC page where they're asking for builds for all the tier 7 ships. Well, I don't have a good build for them because I don't understand everything that's working yet. And it's going to take me months to figure this out. Maybe some of the bigger PvP players already have, the build for specific hulls, but I sure don't.
Well, another point of that as well is a very expensive learning process. In the sense that you can calculate stats and resistances and values, but sometimes until you actually take that fleet out and smash a base, you don't know how it's going to operate or what values are actually true in the game. And it's very expensive if you're going to build a fleet, and then go out and hit a load of bases and then tweak that fleet and then adjust that fleet. Like you said, it takes months and it costs money, a lot of money. And I think there's a lot of people that have already done that for the last year. And they're like, well, I'm not doing that again just because you decided to change it,
Let me give you an example here. On the Tier 7 Conqueror hulls, all our Conqueror hulls now with the Refractor come with a baked-in 45% turret deflection. Right, turret defense. Is it worth putting a 50% turret defense on there through Siege Battery or any of the other ones? Will that Why is there an echo?
Not sure.
I can't hear an echo.
All right. Well, is that 5% turret defense difference? Will that be enough for our ships to go into a base and die or survive? Because if I don't have to put that in there, I can put another special in there that increases something else.
And I guess when you crunch your numbers, then you're going to look at by the time you've took the deflection off, and then you look, say, I'm getting 1,000 damage, 5% of 1,000, and that's where you're going to be factoring that value in. And I guess in very, very, very small niche scenarios, it could be a deciding factor. But I don't know. It's interesting. I've seen the changes. I don't know. I've not fully accepted them. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like I'm still resilient to them, But at some point, I know I'm going to have to sit down, get in there, crunch numbers, readjust everything, and readjust my entire mindset of the game to actually fully understand PvP again, which is probably going to take well into the first quarter next year.
One thing to keep in mind with this too, we got to a point in T7 where players were in some cases able to build semi-invincible ships with their builds, aka the good build or whatever, that pretty much could walk past. You'd walk past it or walk through a guard fleet, and often between the guard and the attacking fleet, it was scratching the paint, and then they got back to the OP and the island and shot it up and got their win, and that's how it was going for a while. Part of this refactor was the intention that ships will damage each other, that you won't be able to necessarily have the ability to walk through and only get your paint scratched. that is also not just a change to the gameplay, but there's also a mental change there. Players that are used to seeing that versus now seeing ships actually taking big time damage against each other, that's a very different dynamic. And so when people say, well, that build can't be any good. Well, maybe that build actually is the best it can be in the post Refactor game. Mm. And adapting to the reality of that, at least at the T7 level. We've seen the T8s, those hulls can definitely go through some of these bases and so forth without taking a scratch if it's not set up right.
Mm. Yeah, it's there's a lot to adapt to. I mean, I think that it's probably one of the biggest changes I've ever seen to the game, with so much changing at once. I would probably is that fair to say? It's probably the biggest change to BP we've seen at once.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it's bound to have a bad transition period. I kind of wish that Kickstarter would just say, look, we're changing the game. Here's a refactor. Everything's free for a week. Go out there and relearn the game. You know, and tokens are a great incentive. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a couple of weeks of adjusting some builds is not enough. I don't know if we had like a 2-week Smash free for all, everyone would have their fleets figured out straight away because they would just be dying left, right, and center. They wouldn't be caring about it because they got no repair time. They would adjust, adapt, and everyone would relearn the game dead quick, as opposed to an expensive coin for messing builds up over and over.
Well, and as Ford mentioned in the sidebar chat there, one thing we can say is that Kicks developers put a lot of work in Refactor. They did. There was a ton of work, a ton of time done to do this. We saw, those of us that were in the preview doing testing, giving them feedback on things, we saw, particularly on the extended one that went for days, we saw daily changes. So what worked in day 1 was changed or nerfed in day 2, and you had to relook at it again. And then what actually came out was I can't say completely different, but was markedly different from things we saw in the preview testing and we're giving them feedback on. So, I mean, they did put a ton of work in there. And I know in general, we expressed concern to them on levels that nobody's aware of about how they were going to roll it out on the backs of the players and, the dangers of how they would do it. And I do think that everybody, I'd like to say everybody, should be almost astonished at just how many tokens were actually given out to do these refits. Way more than I expected was going to happen, and I'm very glad to see it. Mm-hmm. So, I'll give them props for that, even if there are still, bumps and complications and frustrations with it. They at least did make it possible to do this basically outside of resources for free.
I would also like to say that the patch went through cleanly. And considering that it was not only the Refactor patch, but also the base upgrade patch that all went through at once, and the game didn't explode, and it wasn't down for like 8 hours. That was a pretty smooth patch thing. Well done there as well.
Admittedly, that was a surprise too.
Yes, I totally didn't expect that.
Normally, they can't even add a TLC without the game exploding. So, so they must have done pretty well on this one, huh? Agni, any thoughts on that? I don't know if were you trying to chime in there?
No, I was just listening in. Yep, it's Refactor before it when it was put in play. There was a lot of talk about it in forums. Like it was almost endless. So yeah, given that the transition was extremely smooth, and yeah, devs, well done, good job. Given the game status, like you start off with the game on the basics of the FM. Then you have your chores, getting the res and resources and stuff. That's doing pretty okay, not affected. You get in TLCs, raids, still not affected because we're still in the PvE segment with that. Then you come into the PvP. Bang, there's a big change. One, sniping has been taken out, which has been a bug. For most of the people, not because it was one lopsided affair, but the mounting damage repair numbers on the PvE fleets, that's gone now. Part of the changes. Refactor, as I see it now, it's a huge U-turn in devs trying to undo, to put it politely. I would have used another word, but let's just say undo the mess that was done, whatever, but undo will do for now. They've done it clean. It's taken long. It was extended, so it could be put into play without any problems at all. Now, what Liam said, the problems we are having with the numbers, before you go into a base with, say, a Legion fraction and 8 T8 missile turrets, you know at the back of your head, a good base hitter will know 3.1 million deflection. If you don't have it, don't go in there. You'll be dead. Now, we are having to relearn those numbers again. I myself have done the calculations a bit, but I still have to see with each fraction. We do have website for that, but we are having to calculate each deflection. It's just sitting down to it because like Liam, even I'm resilient to the changes, but I will have to get it done. I've just got to sit down with a pen and paper. I still like to do it the old school way, write notes down. If that's sorted out, and we must remember that it's just been a week that Refactor has kicked in. So in a week, you're not going to learn something which has been such a big change on it. Give it time, give it a month and a half, and it's going to sink in because people will figure out the maths. It's not like rocket science. It is for some, but if you just sit down, look at calculations or calculators, that is one way to do it. Other ways, just go in and die and learn from that. You have both ways. This is going to be a very short time to learn because once T8 turrets start coming out, the balance is going to shift again because you're going to have to redo numbers all over again. T8 turrets, along with the fraction, and then if there are new specials in. It's the same old mechanics of the calculation, just that we are having to redo it and start from scratch again. So I think it's been a good thing because it's ironed out the escalating damage and deflection numbers, because with every month before, the numbers, the zeros in the damage done and the deflections was going up. It was not a solution. It was a temporary fix. This Refactor is a permanent solution. It's going to take time. There'll be a lot who are going to fall by and move away from the game, but there'll be a lot who are still sticking to it. And I'm pretty much liking this fact that the over damage is gone because you're able to clean calculate damage way more, barring splash, which you cannot calculate. So yeah, I think it's a good thing for the game, and I'm completely for it. It's just that I'm not understanding it right now, but I'm going to give myself a month or so before things start getting clearer with the numbers, and with this raid, it'll show a path towards where we are going.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much early doors, isn't it? And I think it's difficult to give it a great discussion until everyone's, like, I guess, more familiarized with it. Probably a month down the line would be a great time to pick up on it. But I mean, what do you guys think about seeing a bounty in December? You know, I know we spoke about it a little bit in the pre-show, but I mean, do you think it's a good? Did you think December would be a good time to lay a bounty on, or do you think players and the community in general need more time to adjust to the changes in PvP?
Ideally, it should be more time to adjust. I would like to not see a bounty until the January timeframe. It wouldn't surprise me if they go with that too, because I'm sure they're looking at all the numbers and so forth. And then it wouldn't also surprise me to see them run some kind of we had bacon, I don't know what we're going to call Christmas, the sugar cookie event or the whatever it is. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them run some other kind of event that can generate and offset the revenue that they expected they would have gotten from a bounty. I understand that business side of it too. And that's fine as long as they don't make it something too mandatory or whatever.
I tell you what, if they release a ship skin that looks like green and flashes like a Christmas tree, I will be all over that. I will coin that. You know, just saying.
Yeah, we had what was that Halloween event that we had?
Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, Flying Dutchman.
Yeah. We had the Dutchman, then we had the bacon. So I don't know what it's going to be. Santa's naked helpers next. I don't know. I'm just saying. So
you can pretty much.
given you have to look at it from the company's perspective of trying to make money, revenue generation. So there will be an event, whether it's bounty or Santa's helpers, but there will be something that's a foregone conclusion. So it's just how it's the structure and how player friendly it is, because they must try. I'm not saying they must try and realize it's going to be holiday time.
Well,
I would like to disagree about that. The bounty. I would like to see a bounty in December, because theory is all great and all that, but until I send my ships in to actually bleed, I'm not going to know how they're going to work. Only in the bounty will my base get hit multiple times. Nobody comes close to my base now. I haven't been hit in weeks.
I tell you one thing as well, player replica bases are one hell of a training ground.
Right. And I can use my ships. That would be a great learning experience for the players. Just us sitting around and thinking about it and then building a ship and sending it into one base, that isn't going to cut it. That's not a big enough sample size. I need an event where I can burn my ships for 4 solid days before I can sort of begin truly tweaking the parts of it. I can do the theory and numbers all day, but until I bleed them.
Those are both very valid points, especially the NPC bases being training grounds. Those are both very valid points.
Okay, guys.
Yeah,
well,
that's like half a test, because we're not having any defender hulls in there, so it does test your deflections in way of turret damage. You can test them, so it is a test, definitely so. And but it's kind of like half a test, because my base would get walked without a guard in.
But they only took out defender fleets when we had over damage and deflection issues. Whereas now, now they could implement NPC bases with player base guard fleets in.
Oh, that will destroy the bounty if they do that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm sure Kickstarter have already got the answers. I'm sure they're already planning or not planning one. They're just not sure yet. Maybe they haven't told us yet. But guys, we're on the 7 minutes over mark, which is not bad. I think we've had some really, really good discussions tonight, and some great points have been put across. Before I go on to the last part, is there anything else anyone else wants to throw in for this week's show?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
No, we're good.
Well, I think we'll have another chat about Refactor next week. We'll see where everyone is feeling, on week 2, week 3, and see how people are feeling about it. But so, guys, that kind of brings us towards the end of the show. It's been a great show. We've had 100 viewers fairly consistently throughout the show, which has been great. We've obviously got next week. We've got the raid to discuss. We've got a lot to talk about next week. I don't know if there'll be an open mic this Saturday. I'm not sure if I can commit to doing one myself because of work commitments, but I'll speak to Robin and see if any of the other guys are maybe up for doing one. So I'll update you on that. Don't forget, also, we have a competition coming up for Christmas. So last year, TFC did a competition. It was a banner competition, I think, if you guys can remember, any of you 2017 TFC vets. But we had a banner competition. First prize won 1,000 coins. Second prize won 500 coins. And third prize won 100 coins. So we'll be doing a similar competition this year. First prize, second prize, and third prize, exactly the same values as last year. I'll be putting up the prize money for you again. But we're not sure what to do. That's the thing. We have some ideas. We've snowballed some ideas, but we kind of wanted to give the community, give you guys an opportunity to maybe put forward some suggestions. So the mods or myself, we're going to put a post or a thread up in the TFC page, and we're going to ask you guys to maybe give us some suggestions and ideas of what to do for a competition for the TFC community in the page this year. So we'll have a post up. We'll leave it up maybe till next week's show, and we'll announce whatever it's going to be and who came up with the idea. So look out for that. But other than that, guys, thank you all of you presenters for coming on tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Agni, appreciate you coming on as a special guest tonight and coming up at
for the invite.
4 o'clock in the morning.
Much appreciated.
Definitely, and it was great to have you. And over the next few weeks, we'll be bringing in guest players. You know, we'll be definitely looking to bring in some more guest players and spread, get some wider opinions. So we will possibly see you Saturday. I personally won't, but if not, we will see you next week. I can't confirm if the show will be Tuesday or Wednesday because I want to tie it in with whatever the update and whatnot. So stay tuned. But thanks everyone for coming out tonight. It was great to host a show again, and I'll see you next week. Take care.